So before we go ahead and get started, I do want to go over a couple things with the club, right? So just a couple of announcements. So one thing I want to make, everyone aware of, here is there's going to be so I don't know if many of you guys were, on campus today or heard, the career fair is currently going on right now in the university quad, right? Um, but I think they do have a couple like engineering recruiters, but today is not the main day for that, I believe. Yes, exactly. So tomorrow is the engineering slash high tech career fair, right? That's what that's where you a lot of the CS people want to be, right? Personally, I will be going there tomorrow, right? I think Garrett said he's going to go there as well. So if anyone wants to go, seek some opportunities and whatnot, tomorrow is your chance. It begins at 10:30 a.m. and it goes till 2 p.m. Oh, you did? That's good. Were you able to find some okay, which companies were here that was looking for like CS majors?
Water and there's CPP and like I think like there's Lockheed Martin
Yeah.
and Northrop Grumman as well.
Yeah.
And but like the Lockheed Martin, I think like the main like engineering representative will only be on 2 to 5, not right now.
Okay.
Able to stay on the HR.
Okay, got it.
For the engineering department.
Okay.
So I'll probably revisit them and then I'll pass on my recommendation.
That's good. Yes, that's a smart thing to do. Yeah. And I think they'll also be returning tomorrow. At least I know Lockheed Martin's going to be here tomorrow, but yeah, but be on the lookout for that. To everyone that's, interested, obviously looking for those internship opportunities or even new grad opportunities, right? Next announcement I want to make is about our CSS mentorship program, right? So we've already sent out the applications, right? But we are actually still looking for more mentors, right? Because we actually have a lot of mentees, but we're a little bit low on the mentors. So that's why we actually extended the deadline. We extended the deadline to the 25th. So it's 3 days. It's
What are you talking about, like mentorship?
On Sunday. What's up?
Like about like mentorship, like what kind of like mentorship? Like I think like because like CS fundamentals specifically, or like talking about like discrete math stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So honestly, it's very general with any like new person entering computer science. So yeah, it does include that. It can also include those that are looking to get some nice career advice as well, like how to land their internships and whatnot. Make sure the resume is polished and whatnot. So but yeah, even to like try to help with classes too, or even fundamentals, or even help them get started on the track of like maybe doing some side projects and whatnot. Give them some suggestions, that sort of thing.
So,
Go on.
like, I don't know, should I apply for the mentorship program? Because like I have experience in like Python and JavaScript.
Okay.
But like not much of that. So but I do understand a lot of like the basic concepts of like CS and like functional programming, just object-oriented programming. So I don't know whether or not should I apply for mentorship.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just asking for like a suggestion.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I do appreciate what what your input was. And to that, I'd say if you are interested, you do have experience and you can relay that information to new people, right? Whether that knowledge you have is in a certain like field that you're going into, whether that back end development, front end, full stack, right? And there's other people that want to explore those fields as well. And since you have that experience, if you have any experience, I think it can go a long way for anyone, right? So if you really want to help foster certain people that are new to the field that want to need help navigating their way, then and you can, then yeah, I would say please apply. I highly encourage that. Sounds good. Cool. So yeah, CSS MP applications are still open for mentors. So if you are interested in being a mentor, you can fill out the application. It's found in our Discord and on our link tree. So Yeah, you can check our Discord announcements for the link on that, right? The announcements channel. Yeah, just look in the announcements. And then our last announcement is that we are going to have a CSS is planning on having a social next Friday. And yeah, so next Friday, we'll be doing an in-person social. You know, we feel like many people have sort of returned to the campus, right? So it will be in the same room that we host the CSS meetings, building 15, room 1823. We're also going to be having free food. We're planning on having pizza, so if that encourages you to come, then please do. You know, we're trying to connect some people, and you know, we're also just trying to have some fun as well, right? So now if you are interested in attending that social, there's gonna be an interest form out. We haven't put it out yet, but we'll make an announcement. So that's why please make sure to follow our socials. We'll make sure to post it on the Discord like announcements when we have the interest form ready to be sent out. I think we can even send it out in the meeting. Yeah, we'll probably send it out in the Zoom, and then yeah, I'll probably put on the link tree as well. But yeah, those are the announcements as of now. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask. But without further ado, I will allow Kenny to introduce himself, and yeah, go ahead and take the show, Kenny.
Do I have to turn on my camera or?
That's up to you, man.
All right, I'm gonna turn that shit on. Hopefully you guys
Okay.
do, so you're not socially inept. Hey
A little bit
everyone,
of
my name
confidence.
is Kenny. I am a software engineer here at Walmart. I graduated spring 2021, so I have about a little over a year in the industry now. The team I work on is actually called Pangea Payments. What we do is we handle all e-commerce and in-store payment systems for Walmart. Like that's what like my team basically does for Walmart and its subsidiaries. So like if you think about it, like when I develop something, it would be affecting markets like the US, Canada, Mexico, the UK, South America, and all that good stuff. Yeah, I've been working a bit now for over a year. Currently I'm in my promo cycle, so good luck, like wish me good luck to hit mid-level. So let me think what else. I'm primarily a backend engineer, since the nature of payments itself is mostly backend. So we have a lot of teams that call our services at least. So imagine my team is basically the last team, or the last stop before we actually go out to a processor and try to handle the payment. So if you think about, there's many ways to pay at Walmart, and there's different flows, and there's different teams in between that. So there's a team specific for the UI. There's a team actually called checkout that actually handles the cart itself. And depending where you buy within our like e-commerce app or like on your mobile, a different team will actually be handling that portion. And they actually end up calling all our services. So that's what I primarily do. Mostly what I've been doing is I have written all of PayPal from scratch. So we have a legacy platform that I first developed PayPal for, and we have that now in production, and I get like millions of requests a day. And the second phase that will be going live in I think like next Tuesday actually, is I'm moving it from our old legacy platform to our new one. And what we call this is UPP, which is a unified payment platform. And with that, this is built instead of having it like on our private data center S clouds, it's actually built on public. So this is actually built on Azure and GCP, which is pretty cool. At Walmart, at least, I've learned a decent amount, like going from university, like uni, like, I'm trying to say like being in school to going to actually working like every day is a pretty intense transition on my team, at least, because you actually have to understand like a lot of the engineering aspects. As with Walmart and my team, you're not maybe handling like 100,000 requests a day, you're handling millions. So everything you have to do is that has to be at a large scale, which I think is maybe one of the pluses at working at Walmart, as it's not known to be as prestigious as like Facebook or Google or something of that nature. But when you look at the work I've done myself, the impact I've had is actually like pretty insane. Like and from my experience so far, it's made me and taught me to be very careful and I can't emphasize this enough, when you're actually doing developmental work, make sure you test everything out. Because I've seen something be in production for like 10 minutes and then there's a $4 million issue or something like that. So it can be pretty intense, at least working in this payments area. But I think it's really fun and rewarding. And I've gone to see kind of how our tech develops. So seeing like Walmart's legacy stack to our newer stack is pretty interesting. So like before, in our legacy system, right, we'd have everything OOP kind of, and now with our new programming, we actually do functional programming, and that's because we use something called WebFlux, which is like in a sense prior in our system, if you send out one request, that kind of thread is stuck there. And now it's kind of in a sense using the idea of async, and it's handling multiple requests. So one thread, while it's waiting for one request to go through, it can start picking up other processes. So then with a set number of VMs, you actually be able to handle a lot more traffic. And for us at Walmart, one of the biggest seasons ever is actually a holiday shopping, right? Like I think we're going into code freeze next month just to give us time to really stress test and like hone our systems. Because let's just say if I have 1 million transactions now, depending on the time of the holiday season, like Black Friday or something like that, it can go 3, 4, 10 times a request, especially during big event drops like last year, especially with consoles. The number of requests that we see would enormously jump. And at Walmart, what things I can say about it is there are good opportunities, albeit like it is a large company, so some teams might not be as great as others. You might end up with a bad team. It's really possible when the company is that big. But typically, I'd say we're pretty modern. Like most teams for front end, you're gonna be using React or React Native, I think. Some teams might have some Angular. You won't really be touching anything legacy to my knowledge. Everything's primarily, at least backend wise, I know a lot of teams use Java, some use like, if I'm correct, Go, Node.js, so it really depends on the area. But well, Walmart itself is really vast, so there's a lot of teams out there that will handle different functions. And for at least for our tech team, right, when you think of Walmart, it's not just like e-commerce website itself. Imagine all those other apps that might be for like let's just say store associates, some work in a store, they might have an app specific for them, or truck drivers or supply chain. So it's really vast. And there's other pretty cool areas like emerging tech too. And within emerging tech, you might have VR, AR, things that are pretty experimental. The VP of that team or that org is actually super nice as well. And over the last year, I actually had an interesting scenario where the VP of emerging tech asked me to help mentor a bootcamp person. And what I mean by that is Walmart sponsors, I think like 20 or 30 women at once that come from non-traditional backgrounds to come and in a sense go with a boot camp from HackRight. And from that, if they interview well, they get placed. And I actually got to mentor one girl, like who's a pretty good friend now, and she actually got an offer, but she grinded really hard. So that's been pretty good. Let me think about it. Overall, Walmart hasn't been a bad experience in my like over my year. I know it can vary from person to person, but I feel like at least on my team, everyone's really nice and supportive, and they actually teach you a lot of things too. So like one of the really cool things that I'm not sure if a lot of people here knows, when you're doing software engineering, what differentiates a junior and a mid-level is when you're like able to start being on your own and being independent, and something called system design. So when you're given a task, like, can you actually design it itself? So it's been really cool at Walmart, at least on my team, to see how kind of the system design process kind of works and how I've actually implemented in my work as well. So I get to question, why are we doing things in this certain way? Like, what are the impacts, the trade-offs, as when you're handling millions or billions of dollars? I think we handle billions of dollars a year. I think like last year we handled like 500 bill in transactions. So if you think about that request wise, it's on a very large scale. So it's interesting to see how we've designed our systems to handle all that load. Because with our team, our max load is whatever other teams send us. So we don't have a cap. So if you think about it like that, we have to be able to scale very well. But let me think. I think that's it. I'd like to talk about Walmart. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions so far about his Walmart experience?
Like I talk about the industry and everything in general, is I have a lot of friends and mentors in this. So if anyone has any questions, let me know, or else we're just gonna sit here in silence.
Yeah.
I do have a
You can hold this and talk.
So I do have a question. My kind of question is like if you do have like if you do want them to get if you be able to go back into the path before you take the job at Walmart, what
Yeah.
would be one advice that would you give your past self before you enter that Walmart job?
Well, the biggest thing is like kind of it's kind of hard to say because I actually had a decent ramp up period. I'd say to myself is when you go into industry and actually touch stuff, you'll realize how little you know because the CS fundamentals are really there, right? Like, for example, my team primarily uses Java, right? So thank God I knew Java really well. So when I came in, I could understand the code. But then you actually start seeing how kind of like, for example, design patterns are actually used in the real world, right? Like when you're thinking about a small code base before, you might be doing something very small in your local, but when you come here, there's thousands of like lines of code, right? There's different classes, there's different plugins. Honestly, I'd say like hopefully everyone here ends up on a chill team, but don't be stressed out at the beginning because at least the wrap up time for me took a bit since our applications are so huge. Then that's what I recommend. It's a bit different when you're coming in as an intern. You got basically have a week, so you have to kind of come in a bit prepared. So like if you're joining a team or something, like make sure like ask your manager, whatever, like, hey, what technologies do you really need to know and learn the basics of that, right? So when you actually go in and you're actually able to see the code and everything, if you at least understand it, you can start piecing together how the systems and everything works together. But if you came in, like let's just say if I came into my team not knowing Java at all, it's going to be a really rough time when everything is built in primarily Java. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah. What's up?
Is there any benefit to learning more like software engineering? Like you said, system design. Is there any benefit to kind of learning that and designing your own software?
So the big thing is you're a senior, right?
Yeah.
With new grad positions, odds are you won't ever be asked that. You should just understand the very fundamental basics, but you want to learn more of that when if you want to try to go bigger tech and you want to hit like mid-level, right? See it from junior to mid-level, there's going to be at least one round of system design. And from mid-level to senior, a lot of that's going to be system design. And that's how they're going to grill you. So as when you're an undergrad, right, it's not as necessary to really dive into it. It's good to understand the basics, right? Like how everything flows together, but you don't need to understand, okay, why would I use this DB over another, right? In this scenario, like you don't have to really get into the nitty gritty, but as you can start learning that on the job or learning that once you secure the job, because a lot of times when people are looking for juniors, they're looking for people who've shown that they can learn on their own, they can learn quickly, and they have an interest in the area, right? And they at least pass the basic rounds of like data structures or whatever to show that you have a solid fundamental knowledge in CS. As you don't want to really teach someone that hard from scratch, since depending on the application, it can be really big.
So you would say that for right now we're just supposed to focus on the fundamentals and
Yeah, I mean,
chasing your passion of sort.
I honestly doing lead code too, honestly, because if you're a new grad, right, you're gonna run into lead code. If you want to go into a bigger company, it's bound to happen. If you go into more defense, I've seen at least when I interviewed, I was more like OOP that they'd grill me like, hey, what are the 4 pillars, right? Encapsulation, blah 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 blah. Can you talk about them? Can you show them things of that nature? But it really depends on the industry. If you want to go really more tech, you probably should hit the lead code. And that's
All right,
just
thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I have another question.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips on how to like adapt yourself to a new technology quickly? Like, for example, a new programming language or a new JS framework or like a new like Python library or something like that?
Yeah.
Do you have any tips on that?
The biggest thing is it's only going to go as fast as I'd say as it's only going to go as good if your fundamentals are good, right? For example, let's just say you're doing web development, right? If you jump directly into React.js without understanding what's CSS, HTML, or basic JavaScript, it might not like your fundamentals are really shaky, so it might take a bit for you to really understand it. But for me, right, like I knew I had those pretty like solid, like I had JS, all that things pretty solid set before I learned React. And when I hopped into it, it made the transition really easy. And perfect example of this is like, let's just say you're doing a physics or math class, right? You know how your professor always wants you to do it the long way the first time so you really understand it. And then they give you that one equation that makes it everything easier. That's how I kind of see frameworks like this, right? If you really know the long way, the pain of JavaScript or actually how to use it, when you jump over to React.js, you'd be like, okay, this is so much better. I can do X, Y, and Z easier, right? So it's really depending on your fundamentals. Like I can't emphasize that enough. Like, for example, if you do leak code, but your fundamentals are shaky, good luck trying to progress, right? Like good luck trying to do a leak code hard if you don't know your data structures well, because you won't be able to like differentiate. You might not be able to know and realize what data structure is really needed in specific scenarios. Yeah. And that's why I emphasize too, like when you do your classes, stuff like that, like 2400, 3310, just don't half-ass everything, like actually understand the material, right? Your professor might suck and you might have to learn it on your own, but go through that pain because I mean, that's what I did. And like, it really helps. It really, really helps. I can't emphasize it enough.
Definitely.
And then
Yeah,
I
go
see
on.
from Tony.
Mhm.
Expand how you got your position at Walmart. Oh, I just cold applied. So I mass applied. So what happened to me was I had a few internships canceled because of COVID. So I had one with Honey, and then like they had a weird PayPal acquisition thing and they canceled it. And then during that summer, I actually took a defense job over Amazon because they matched my offer and went higher and offered a secret clearance. But because COVID happened, I didn't get the TSS. Like I didn't get, in a sense, my clearance in time, so that got canceled. So I went to my senior year with only side projects that were actually pretty decent, and I really went ham on leak code and I did like 400 problems so I could ace those interviews. So like I'll be, you probably don't need to do 400 questions, right? Like it was just when I graduated, at least the market was really bad. Like for example, my mentor, his friend's the HR director at Microsoft, right? And within their first month of applications, my recruiting season year, they had 3 times the applicants of the whole season of the year prior. And yeah, I did 400. I'm not even joking. Like I got pretty cracked at it, and I was salted because I was like, oh, if Google or Facebook was open, I probably could have got in. Because I ended up doing like 300 mediums or 200 and something mediums, a good chunk of hards, and then a few easies. So like I did a lot.
400 is crazy.
Yeah, I'm not joking. Like legit, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a good job. Like I don't really care. But I mean, from that, I had like 7 or 8 offers with no internships, graduating during one of the hardest like recruiting seasons ever, in my opinion. So I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder how it is going to be like right now, especially because like I mean I'm a senior too, and I guess we're kind of like in a recession right now, and there's not as many like job opportunities as there was like before. At least that's
It's
what.
still really doable. Trust me, it's still really doable because if I could do it in that recruiting season where it was during peak COVID where no one really wanted to hire, right? Like Google wasn't hiring Facebook, they'd only maybe give it to return offers for interns, and that's if you did really well. Then you can get a job then if like I could do it back then. But yeah, and
For
then
sure.
what advice would you give for the beginner to this industry? Is there any online projects? Honestly, I don't know how to pronounce your name. To win. A big thing is start on side projects, right? Like, and really learn your fundamentals and take like data structures early on. And I'd say get into those early internships like Google Steps, stuff like that, if you can apply, because they're really great stepping stones. And the big thing is when I say do side projects, find something you're interested in. Like, hey, you want to build a website, dive into it, right? Or understand how it works, or show, and you can make that, put on your resume, like, hey, I've done XYZ, I was interested in, right? Because when you're applying to these internships, companies aren't going to expect you to already have internships before. They're really meant for like students without anything. But what differentiates a person from your left and right, right? Like if you're taking 2400, what makes you different from the person sitting next to you? You have to really go on these side projects and really show that you like learning and you learn outside of school and you've done and like actually done and wrote code on your own. And the big thing is it's not like following a tutorial online. If you list something, you should know it down like really well. Because I've interviewed people and be like, okay, React. If I ask you really basic React answer and you can't answer it, I mean, if I ask you a really basic React question, you can't answer it, then I know like you probably relied on your resume. And that's like I note that down in my head. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question. How much of what you learned in college or in your classes, like you took over with you at Walmart or like in your other
Yeah,
internships?
I mean, a really big thing is hardcore, at least in the industry, what I've seen, right? Like if you look at Amazon and stuff like that, they'll use Java as well. A lot of it's gonna be OOP, right? So thank God, like I really knew that well, because when I go into my, like if I go into just right into the code, a lot of it, at least on my team, is built in Java. But let's just say if your team didn't have it built in Java, right? If your fundamentals are set, you should be able to pick up that technology fairly well. I mean, there's that whole class, is it 40-80 concepts of programming languages? It's the idea that if you really understand the fundamentals well, you should be able to pick up any technology. And at least my case, Java is really commonly used in like enterprise in the industry. So I think Netflix is built on Java, Amazon is. I forgot what other companies, Walmart's like primarily Java. Coming in knowing that actually allowed me to actually like dive into other things, right? Like I can understand how the system works as a whole because I can actually read the code.
What do you mean by like fundamentals? Like,
So yeah, I mean, like let's just say, like if you understand a language well, like for perfect example, like if you understand OOP in Java, then when you hop over and you try OOP in like C or something, right? If you understand the concept as a whole, those little differences are minor, right? You should be able to hop from one language to another. So if you know Java well, you should be able to like learn C pretty well. Like it's the idea that if you actually understand a programming language, you should be able to hop from one to another and just realize that there just might be some minor tweaks here and there, right? So I mean, like that's why, like for example, if you learn Java, hopping over to Python should be really easy. And that's what I mean, like when you take your classes, right, it's primarily taught in Java. Really understand what you're doing and don't half-ass things, right? Because that could come bite you back in the future.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else have any questions? You could drop them in the chat. Anyone here have? anything? Yeah, I got you. Yep, we got a question in the in-person audience.
Hey, what's up?
When you said you went into your senior year with mostly side projects because your internships were canceled because of COVID, what were the side projects that you listed on your resume?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is I wrote a shoe bot from scratch. So like there's a lot of hype regarding like buying and selling shoes, and people have like in a sense programs to enter raffles, right? So I saw it as an opportunity where I like making money, I like shoes, and I have a CS background. So why not dive in and build it myself? And in that case, right, when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it logically in multiple steps, like, hey, like what would necessarily be needed in it? So I'd be doing researching. Like I'd research into it. And one of the big things I got to learn from at least that project is how multi-threading works, right? Because the idea is when you do a shoe bot, you want to be able to enter raffles like multiple times. And what's the best way to do it? If you have one thread that has to wait and sit there, it's kind of bad, right? Like, and that's where I kind of got to learn the CS fundamental of multi-threading, and actually that crossed over to work as well. So like that's one of my biggest projects. The other ones, I had other bots as well, but I also like built websites. And one of the big things is in my class projects, actually, like my friends and I, we went hard in it. So like I think is it 3560, the object-oriented programming class. Tanaz asked, like, you could just do a simple project, but what my friends and I did instead is like, hey, we have a semester-long project. We're supposed to do like OOP or something like that, right? Instead of doing some half-ass thing, we all decided to make an Android app, not knowing Android app development at all. So that's kind of something cool to talk about. Same for 4800 of software engineering. We had to use Sun. We're supposed to make a web app, right? But instead of making like a shitty like Java Spring Boot and like a basic Java front end, I did ours in Angular and Node.js and actually made it extremely functional. And like, for example, we'd also focus on and learn on the little things, right? Like how would your website function if you increase the size of the browser and decrease that, how it'll look on mobile? It's like diving into these little things and then being able to showcase that you went above and beyond really helped as well. Because if you think it like this, right, when you take 4800, if there's like 60 other students also working on some sort of website, what differentiates you from others? That's the biggest thing I can't emphasize as much, right? Because like when I interviewed for like interns and new grads for Walmart, like like my manager chose me and I had to do things that like six to 10 interviews a week. And then 1 week I had double that because it was hell week. I had to really think, is this person actually, more promising than others? If they aren't, well, it's an X on it, right? So we're going through hundreds of applicants or like your teams are just interviewing so many people.
Thank you. You guys have any questions?
Anyone else? We got all those people sitting down well.
I was actually gonna ask for your Walmart interview. I think you talked about it last year, but what was the difficulty in leak code you had, or like the technical part of the interview?
Dude, I think I had mediums, but I heard some people got easies. I think like some of the interviewers, I think some of the interviewers didn't ask the proper questions. That's what I was told. But like, I don't know. When I interviewed, it was a bit harder than what I saw other people were given. So I was like, huh, but they're not on my team. What was it, Paul? Paul, are you joining as a new grad, Paul? Oh shoot. What org are you in? I'm in payments, so Pangea payments. Oh. You got a mic, Paul?
Wow.
Oh yeah, I guess not. All right. Anyone else got questions?
A quick question, but how much time did you spend on the leak code problems? Because 400 is crazy.
Yeah, so when I got really good, like when I'm talking about this, like because I basically no life school that and like selling shoes and whatever. Like when I got really good, you can give me any medium and it can do it in less than 15 minutes.
What?
But like if you think about when you're interviewing for Fang, right? In 1 hour session, because I passed I passed like phone screens and stuff like that before. In 1 hour session, right? They might give you 2 problems. If you think about this, right? If they give you 2 medium problems or medium and a hard, and you have less than an hour, realistically, you have 25 minutes per problem. But if you think about it, you have to introduce the problem, you have to understand all the requirements, and then you actually have to go and do it. So you're aiming around 15 to 20 minutes that you want to solve optimally for these questions to pass into the next round. And like for me, right, like since I was getting it, like the hiring market was like really shit, I had to get really good at whatever opportunity was given to me.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Paul said CSIS, admin supply inventory. I don't know that team.
It's over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a good or bad team. That's what I said. It's like like Walmart has a lot of engineers. I just know, at least on my team, we get called like for PayPal. There's 6 or 7 teams that call us throughout our whole flow, and there's other teams that call that. So are you based in Sunnyvale? No, I'm based out of Reston, but my position's basically remote. So like I wanted to move East Coast because I was born and raised in LA, and my position is basically remote. So like I get to travel around. Like it's pretty nice. The Hoboken office is really nice though, if you go there, Paul. It basically sits right across Manhattan, and it's in like a skyscraper-esque thing.
Can you have an additional question?
Yeah, what's up?
So we heard a lot about your achievements and your grind. I was just wondering, what is the time frame it took you to get to that stage, just so we have a perspective, I guess.
I mean, realistically, if you go hard on lead code, you're starting from scratch, I'd say a good time frame is you can get really good in like 3 months. And what I mean by that is you might be doing like an hour a day, right? It might be a few problems a day at most, and maybe a bit on the weekend. But if you actually progressively do it and do it properly over a few months, you can have pretty solid knowledge in it, right? But like in my opinion, like you can't just really, if you're starting from scratch, you can't just grind it all in a week. Like good luck. You're gonna forget a lot of things, because it's just with lead code, there's so many different problems that can give you, and they can be solved in so many different ways that it takes a bit of time to kind of like learn them all. And then once you're going from junior to mid-level, there's also the double of what we call system design on top of that, which I'm trying to learn now.
What about your side projects?
Side projects? Oh, I did that before. So like that's really up to you. For my shoebot, before is actually functional. I put like 100 hours in, but it makes me some pretty decent money. But that's just really on you, right? Like that's I say the side projects depends on your interest. Albeit like in my case, I really want to do the shoebot because like I really like sneakers. Like I think I have like 25 pairs of shoes in my closet. Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's a
That's
hell
where
of a
that
lot.
software engineering salary goes, huh?
No. So I resell shoes, so I make money off
Use
of
your
it.
Oh,
money
you
on
see,
what
also
you
resell?
love.
So like my biggest shoe drop ever is I got the Dior Air Jordan 1s.
Oh
And I
my
bought-
gosh.
and
Are
I
you
resold-
serious?
Okay, yeah, I got them. I'm not even joking. I went to Rodeo try to pick that shit up. And that was like 10K profit just from one shoe.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I know
Shoebot
those
goes
are selling for
crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in my closet right now, I have the off-white Canaries, the off-white Chicago's, and then like a few other things just sitting in there. I got them all for retail though. That's the biggest like
Yeah, that's a dub.
yeah.
If you're getting them for retail, that's a dub.
Shoebot is goaded.
I know. Actually, I tried to make a bot for the when the PS5s came out. 'Cause I
Oh,
was try- yeah. Well, it
I was
didn't go
helping my
through.
PP stop those.
Yeah. I ended up just getting the PlayStation off of the actual website, but
Yeah, I know.
you know, those are still being like scraped to this day. So
Oh yeah, like you can buy an Xbox easily. You just go on Walmart.com, but PlayStation, their supply chains like god awful.
yeah, it's so bad. Does anyone else have questions here? Wait, how long it did you said 100 hours for the shoebot? How long did it take to make?
Yeah, probably I'd say like 100. Because like a big thing was a lot of trial and error, and then understanding. So you have to understand how to put this right. When you do a shoebot, I wanted to really fine tune it before I tried it on a wide scale because I didn't want to accidentally buy 50 pairs of a shitty shoe or something.
I feel.
You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should cop me some shoes.
I don't know.
You gotta pay for the service first, man.
It's a business, dog.
It's not free, man. Shoebot is crazy.
Let's see. I actually did have a couple additional questions. So, today, and I also made the announcement about the tech fair that's coming up. Yeah, the career fair.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure you've probably been to them, right? I'd assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not sure how your experience was over there, right? But it's gonna be like at least my first like true experience going to like an in-person career fair, right? So just to get some like pointers, maybe to other people that's gonna want to
I
go.
got you, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the big thing is like walk with the
It's like-
resume, and like that's where your social skills are kind of there. So I hope you guys aren't socially inept. Like a big thing is like being able to talk to the person and just understand what their company's doing, what they're kind of looking for, hand them your resume. Odds out that might put you on a list. And then from my experience, right, from like Tinder, Expedia, the ones that were there my years when I went in, they end up sending you an online assessment. And then you have to just do well on those. There's a big thing with the interview process for internships is typically you'll apply, then you'll get an online assessment. Then you might have a first round scheduled with an engineer, which might be technical, or you might get like a recruiter screen and then go into that. And then after that's like a quote unquote onsite or another interview. So you meeting them and giving them your resume typically helps enough just to get you like an online assessment, or hopefully a recruiter will actually look at your resume. Yeah.
All right. That's cool. That's dope. Looking forward to it.
Are you speaking into a box?
Bruh. This is the microphone. Like this is what they have.
That person raised their hand.
Yeah. There you go. Now she can have the box.
Hey, what's up?
Like for me, I don't have a lot of like technical experience, so like on my resume there's not a lot. What advice would you give to people who don't have a lot?
I mean, no, the biggest thing is like everyone starts somewhere, right? So as long as you recognize that you don't have much now and you kind of start working towards it, then you can start filling it out. Like I'm also in that Discord, whatever. Like my name's Colorblind Kenny in the is it the Cal Poly, the other Discord or something? You can always ping me there or there's a resume chat and like I don't mind helping everyone and mentoring people. You just gotta like catch me at a good time. But for me, in my opinion, right, you can start making side projects. And what I mean by that is like are you interested in maybe like web development or something? Do you want to make a website? Like you actually going, making that website, you can list that down like, hey, I looked into this. And that's a really big plus when someone's interviewing, right? Because right now it might be a bit empty, but as you start making these side projects, you can kind of escalate the difficulty, right? So how I learned web development was I made a shitty, like really bad website with basic like HTML, CSS, nothing. After that, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll add some design or something after, right? Or I'll add in functions with JavaScript. Okay, I might now dive into React and make it look like a bit more functional. And then like I built on top of that. So maybe I did a different website where now it has a backend, right? Like I learned what Node.js is. So don't be scared of necessarily the idea of that your resume is blank now, but realize that you have to kind of build it over time. It's the same thing with their CS knowledge, right? You build things over time. You just don't jump straight into it, right? Like I've had 3 into CS 2400, but you never took 1400. You'd be asking yourself, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Yeah. And don't feel bad. Like I've like the biggest thing is just start. Like look, like kind of decide like what you're interested in. And that's how I see side projects, right? Because with computer science, it's really broad. So some people might like software, and within software, some people might like web development, they might like iOS development, or like things of that nature. Or you might not even like software engineering yourself. If you start doing it, you might not have fun. You might do an internship in it. You could also be like a PM, right? Or you could get into security. You might be more into like machine learning, AI. So kind of like the umbrella of it is really big, right? Since it is computer science, you just want to figure out what you enjoy and kind of dip your feet into that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so he did talk about like being like a PM, right? Whatever. And that's what you said you wanted to do, like hopefully become like a project manager, right? And actually I was gonna ask about that too, because I mean that's a consideration I had as well. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if you're like aware of like the journey of like, becoming a PM, but like I don't know, I heard like you might need some like actual like, maybe some software engineering
No,
experience.
no, no. So you don't necessarily need that, at least on my
Okay.
team. My I forgot the product manager and program manager. One of the product managers on my team, she's actually fresh out of uni too, and she just I think did like she didn't even do a CS degree. She did like a business degree or something.
Okay.
The big thing I've really enjoyed is as a software engineer, the best managers you'll ever have were former engineers or people who at least understand the technical portion. Because at least in my case, my program manager and my product manager, they actually have to understand the basics of the technical aspects, because when you're designing something for Walmart, it might be really big, and when you're cross collaborating between teams, you at least want to understand like what is kind of going on, right? You don't need to understand like everything directly, but the general idea, like what is going on, why you guys are doing that. And you don't actually need a few years of experience to jump into be a PM. But at least when you're an undergrad, you could start hitting those internships and starting out early, right? Like I had a friend where he did his software internship and he also did a PM internship, and he actually enjoyed PM more, so he went into that. So like realize that your path probably won't be the same as mine. It won't be the same as others. You just have to figure out what you really enjoy. And if you find an area you really want to try, full send it, like figure out what you need to do and don't slack off. That's the biggest thing I can't emphasize enough. Is like the more you put in is what you'll get out, right? Like so out of all my friend group, like 8 of us, we all hit 6-figure jobs out like outside of uni. And like once you get that money, it's so nice because it's FU money. Like I do so much stupid shit, it's not even funny. Like I travel so often, and I reap what I sow, right? Like
Yeah, definitely.
and like I'm not even joking. Like I've over the last year, I think I've flown like 20 times.
Dang.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like flew like internationally or like
No, like within, I mean, kind of like I'm going international next month. But like I've gone to like I'm East Coast now, so I'll fly between all the East Coast cities, or I might go West Coast, or I've been to like all the major cities in Canada too, which is pretty interesting. Like I went to a game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I got to see all the Canadians rage when they lost. It was interesting being in Toronto because when they lost, they started burning stuff. And I'm like, damn, is hockey that big out there?
Yeah,
It's like cool
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Oh, you haven't seen how soccer is over in Europe yet. You haven't seen that yet.
No, yeah. So I'm actually that's what I'm planning to do. So I'm actually going like international next month. But I mean that's
really
what
cool.
by having FU money. Like I'm investing pretty well. I'm saving pretty well, and then all this other money, I'm like, I could do whatever I want. Like it's pretty nice, right? Like you want to go do something, fuck it, okay.
Yeah, definitely. I do
And-
feel that.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, and the compensation it just grows. Like a mid-level at Fang will make like 250 to 300. And if you think about that, like
yeah.
that's a lot of money a month, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, that's definitely the goal.
Also, when you're talking about Fang, like you're just like talking like generally about like multinational, like billion-dollar companies. It's
Yeah,
not
I'm
just
talking
like
about
those
those
5
large-
companies in.
No,
that's,
I'm
like,
not talking
specifically
about just those 5. Like this is like, I'm trying to say like there's just a term like all those big companies like Uber's not a part of it, but like yeah. But like trust me, peace out. I don't know her name, Gray Hoodie. I think I'm colorblind. It's like when I mean those bigger companies, they'll pay you like a good chunk for mid-level.
Yeah. See you
Yeah.
guys.
Ever got class?
Yeah, I guess some people have class. I was also gonna quickly ask. You said you had a friend that did a software engineering internship and then PM internship, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I might know. Do you know his name?
Yeah, it's a she though.
Oh, never mind. I thought you. Okay. Because I know that one of my roommates. I don't know. Do you remember Sam?
Samuel Shin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got like when I came back to LA last month, I got ramen with him and our other friends. He's a PM now. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, because he's a PM too. So I thought you were referring to him.
No.
Yeah, because
Actually, last month.
Sam was actually my he was my roommate first year.
Oh shit.
In my first year, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's how I met him.
legit saw him last month. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I do need to actually talk to him again. It's been so long. But yeah, I hope he's doing well too. So I think he
Yeah.
is. Cool.
No, he's chilling. He still lives in Irvine.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
guys
about it.
have any other more questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of unrelated, but what's the funnest thing you've done with your FU money?
It's hard to say. I've done a lot of stupid shit, bro. I don't know. I went white water rafting or something, and like my friends like raise your hand. I'm like sure, and then they ended up throwing me right in the front, and the rapids hit level 5, which were pretty up there. So that was kind of interesting. But a lot of things are just traveling and having the ability to be like, okay, screw it, I can buy that. Like I can afford that. Like like that's the idea. Like when you look at something now when you're in uni or something, you might be like, damn, I wish I could afford that. But like once you have actually a nice money, like okay, I want to I don't know, I went to like Governor's Ball, which is a festival. I looked at a price and be like, I can afford that. Like I go to the city, I do something, I'm like, I could do that. Like it's just the idea of having that financial flexibility. I'm not saying spend all your damn money. I'm saying like invest in it.
Be happy with it.
It's max, right? But like you can start enjoying life. Like when I fly somewhere, I've done it like last minute on a whim. Like I went to Vancouver last month because my friends like, you want to go? And I'm like, okay, why not?
That's crazy. I mean, you deserve it. Like if you grinded that hard, like
I'm saying
yeah,
it's
and
a
you had to
grind.
know life college, like
Like you reap what you sow. Like
yeah,
it is what it is.
it is what it is.
And like it's the idea though with software, you can make like the amount you can make coming out as a new grad is already like it can be a lot more than people in other professions like 5 years in or something. Like just the idea of getting like a new grad, like 22-year-old, 21-year-old, 6 figs is pretty gnarly.
All
Yeah.
right. My question is, what would you say, like, how important is it for recruiters, like whether you have a master's degree or not in this field?
Software. It really depends on the specific field, right? So if you maybe go into like ML or something where it might be more required, then let's just say if you want to do machine learning at big tech, it might be more of a requirement. Like you go to Google or something because they already have really high standards, right? But if you're doing software engineering, you don't really need a master's, right?
Alright.
Like, I'm not gonna ever get a master's because, for example, my principal engineer never got his master's. He just had like 20 or 30 years of like really large scale experience.
All right, thanks.
That's a good question. Because actually, I'm trying to pursue my master's.
Yeah.
Machine
I've been
learning.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
Software engineering.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people these days, because if you can get a software, well, computer science degree or software engineer as a bachelor's, like many people, it's a good like return on investment because you didn't spend too much time, even after just undergrad, paying off like the master's school, for example, right? So at least that's what I hear.
I
But
mean, the really good thing with CS is, albeit we didn't go to a target school, right? But you can still get a really good job. Like I
Yeah.
chose Cal Poly over USC because I didn't want to go in debt and I had like a full ride. So when I graduated, I had a 6-figure job with no debt.
dang.
I got accepted like all.
That's correct.
Wait, you said you got accepted to USC?
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course.
USC is crazy. My friend goes there. We compared tuitions. It was crazy. This man is
Yeah, no,
wow.
yeah, no, I'm not paying that. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, you can learn like CS like almost anywhere.
yeah, like albeit you might get better opportunities there, but you could still get good jobs.
I'm not
Like,
gonna lie.
it just really depends on how hard you guys grind, right? Regardless of the school, like you still gotta grind.
Yep, that's what I tell people too. That's even like the principle my parents have been operating off of. So that's how I'm trying to operate.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it doesn't matter as much because you learn everything online.
Yeah, exactly.
But if y'all got questions, I'm in that Discord and you could just ping me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you're also in the CSS Discord, I believe, right? Hopefully,
Honestly, I don't know, dude. I'm like,
but you're more active in the other one, right?
I'm not even that active in that one. I just like check in time to time. So I'm like,
Okay.
I'm not
Uh,
home enough. Like I'm not home often. So like I check it when I can.
Okay, that's cool. Well, we could probably share that Discord too. To anyone that isn't, are you guys in the CPP CS Discord?
It's a Discord my friends and I made our 1300 class, like in our 1300 class, like 4 or 5 years ago. So
Dang.
yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
you
wait.
made the server?
Yeah, I was legit. I'm an admin there. It was like Elson,
Oh.
and I, like we're like 1300 Hussein's class. That's where we made it.
Wow, I did not know that. That's interesting. That's cool. But yeah, yeah, if you guys aren't in it, I could share it in our CSS Discord, and yeah.
Yep, but don't spam me with like stupid questions though. Like I've had people ask like really questions that made me be like, you can answer this very easily by just searching on Google. Like it doesn't even need to bother me at all. But if you actually want more like advice, like ping me. We could talk for 10 minutes, whatever. But in my experience, I only help those who actually put in experience. So if you keep asking for help, but I don't see any change, I'm not gonna help you because it's not
That
working.
makes sense. Yeah,
Of course.
for sure.
That's-
Well, let's see. Yeah, if there's any other lasting questions, either from Zoom or you guys seem good. Alrighty then. Well, hey Kenny, thanks again so much for doing this. For I think the second year, or yeah, I think second year in a row.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my manager couldn't join this time because he's in a meeting. I asked him, I'm like, oh, and then I asked my director, but I think he's out of office. So maybe next time, if I can get my director to come in here, that'd be gnarly.
Yeah, that would be so dope. It's all good, hopefully next time. But yeah, thank you very much. Even, for me, that's about to graduate this semester, I'm always learning something new, so that's great. But yeah, hopefully everyone that came to the meeting, well, thank you everyone, first of all, for coming. And second of all, hopefully you took away some good information that you can carry on with you. And with that being said, we can conclude today's meeting. And well, is there anything else you wanted to say, Kenny, or you're all good?
I think I'm chilling. It's just I'm in that Discord. Hit me up
Yeah.
if you need help. whenever apps do open, I usually ask like who wants referrals, but that's only the people who I know are competent, because I've been sent really bad resumes where I'm like, I would not refer this.
Dang. Yeah. So
Yeah, he can't
Make
throw his
sure-
reputation away.
No, it's not that. It's imagine like, would you want it? Because I've interviewed so many people. It's like, would I want to interview someone who has put this little effort into the resume? Because I've had some terrible experiences interviewing people. Like one guy copied code live, and I'm like, what are you doing?
What do you mean he copy code live?
Googled it, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, huh?
Huh?
Yeah.
man, that's tough. I mean, I can't say-
That's gotta be a made up story. That doesn't sound realistic for someone to
No,
do in the
one
middle of
is.
an interview.
No, you'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised.
crazy. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There may have been a point where I did take a little bit of code just for this one project,
Okay,
but
but
it
like,
was on internship.
doing it live, like with your interviewer, sharing your screen, and be like, okay, I'm gonna grab this code. I'm like, huh, what are you doing? Like copy and paste this big ass thing. Like, what are you doing?
Yo.
Yeah. No, you definitely don't want to do that though. That's for sure.
I need to go now because I have a meeting.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
for sure.
Alright,
Yeah, thank you very
for
much.
the interview. Wait,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Kenny.
Alright.
Kenny's so goaded.
I know, right?
I'm trying to be
I
like
know,
I'm
right?
trying to be like Kenny.
We all want to, right?
And just let me
That's why we're in this major, right? I mean, we want to do great stuff, but hey, the compensation is really good.
I'm just
It's all
saying you
about
gotta
that
do
money.
he did 400 leak code. He did like 200 mediums, like 100 something hards and like some easies.
Yeah, that's another level. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I could do that, but
15 minutes for a medium. Yeah, this guy is cracked.
it is. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you to everyone. I think everyone signed in, so that's good. You posted that, so yeah, we can go ahead and just conclude the meeting.
All right.
All right.
Stop
Bye,
the
guys.
stream
Yep.
here.